Howdy guys, Kirk and Jason here with kirkgiordano plastering. Today we're going to show you guys how we match this fine skip trowel or Spanish lace texture. That's kind of difficult. There's about 20 solid different textures that folks can do on houses, plus about 100 other old world styles. And this one the fellow did, and he asked my opinion. I said, well, gee, because we were here doing something else. I said, when you paint that, it's going to be an eyesore because your texture's too full and it's wavy, the walls are jacked up. This texture here is not going to match this. Whoever did this did a Spanish lace. It's a Spanish lace and it's very uniform, so blob job won't match. Expensive apartment, probably $1 million apartment, maybe two, I don't know. But he says, well, gee, can you fix it? And I said, I can fix it. But I can't make it perfect because it is one of the most difficult finishes to do. He said, well, do the best you can. I said, I can do that. I notice every patch I've ever done forever. But most folks don't see our patches. And if they do, then it's something that's like this. It's really difficult to do, to come around. This fellow had a lot of time in it, and he couldn't even do it. Here's what I recommended to him, because he says, well, gee, Kirk, I'm going to take a grinder and grind it off. I said, don't do that. He said, why not? I said, you'll get dust over the whole neighborhood. Everybody will hate you. Plus, you'll have to inhale all that crap. He said, well, what if I use a hatchet? I said, then you compromise the paper and wire because the hatchet will hit this real hard, and you just compromise it. And he says, well, what other things can I use? There's a lot of things you can use, guys. You can go by hand, and you can use a 3-in-1 tool. This is just a painter's scraper. A lot of things, but here's the easiest thing. Just get yourself a Bosch Bulldog if you ever have this situation. Bosch makes the best tool. I have about 20, 30 different electric tools for breaking out, and I've decided that this one is the best over the last 15 years. I got all the air tools. Anyway, it's light. You can put all kinds of different tips on it, points, this, that. Here's what I did already here. I spent about 15 minutes here. I'm just going to show you real quick because I don't want to spend another 15 minutes. What we have to do is get all these pancakes and blobs off because those are a sore thumb. They simply won't match. So what I did do is, me and Jason, we just kind of you get the idea. I don't want to put my mask on, otherwise it'll drown me out. Very windy day here today too. So after you get everything grinded down, so to speak, with that right there, it creates a lot less dust too. Then you're ready, like what we have, to apply the texture. Now, because this is a color coat maintenance-free finish, what does that mean? It's porous. I wet the wall here. I wet everything because I don't want to inhale any dust, so it keeps the dust down. What I'm going to do now is put a finish coat on this that is finer than the finish coat he used. Now, any of you folks know this texture, what degree of sand it is. This is what we call a 20-30 in the trades. 1620 is much heavier grit. And what I'm using is a Santa Barbara. It's 30-30. It's very fine, like talcum powder. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to skim this real quick. Wrong trowel. I'm going to get my trowel that I stole from the Silver Surfer. That's this surfboard. Don't you guys use a big one like this. But I like using this big one because it's fast. All right, now I've got to go over the existing. I don't like going over existing when I do patchwork, but here I have no choice because I've got to feather it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the existing a little bit, just fine. And now, as I say, I'm using a finer grit. If I use the same grit, it'll be too thick. It won't work. So a lot of guys want to use the same mud that they applied with. Don't do that. It won't give you the right texture. And by the way, guys, if you have this happen right here and you need to repair it, I would suggest that you hire somebody because we show a lot of how-to stuff and a lot of it is lathing, which most folks can learn how to lath by watching a video. But texturing here with one of the most difficult finishes to tie in with patchwork it's going to take some time. So I'd recommend you hire somebody to do this part for you. And the reason I say that is because when I was a union plasterer, like 30 years ago, I was working for this one company, and the fella who was the supervisor at the time, he says, "Well, Kirk, what are you?" I said, "I'm a journeyman." And he says, "Great." And after about 3 hours, he said, "Kirk, I'm going to ask you again. What are you?" I said, "I'm a journeyman." He says, "Well, you're not a journeyman. I can see that. But the effort you put in, I will definitely pay you journeyman wages. I wish all my guys took the time out to put in 100% like you are. So it's not a big deal. It was a matter of, I was 80%. But anyway, that was Fred Smith Plastering. He taught me more about how to match textures than anybody. He worked for Danny Smith for 40 years. He just retired. Anyhow, that's the base coat. Now notice I went over the actual finish coat, which again is a cardinal sin unless you know what you're doing. Now, I took a wire brush and I wire brushed the perimeter. Why? Because this wall is about 60 years old, so there's a lot of dust accumulated. That's what happens when you have a maintenance-free finish. It lasts forever. It kind of diminishes in appearance, but it definitely lasts forever. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hard rubber float this just to compact it and get my joint a little tighter, and then I'm going to hit it with a sponge float. And why a sponge float? Because I want to get this joint right here almost as flat as possible, because again, we're going over a finish, and this is not very forgiving. Most skip trowels are real forgiving. This one is not forgiving. You either know what you're doing or hire somebody on this. And again, it does take about 10 years to learn how to do textures, which my story goes with Fred Smith on one other job. After a couple of months I was working with the company, they said, "Kirk, texture this." And I said, "I don't know how to texture." He says, "You don't know how to texture? You've been doing this 3 years?" I said, "Yeah, but I know how to derby and I know how to do the rest. I'm working a pump crew." So he says, "Well, I'll teach you." So we were doing about 7 to 8 houses a day, and he says, "Float, please." He says, "All right, Kirk, go ahead and start texturing." He showed me the specifics, and I thought, okay. And I started texturing, and it was an easier texture than this. And I looked at it, I said, "Oh, they're never going to accept that." He said, "Just don't worry, relax, brother. Keep doing it." So I kept doing it, and after a half hour, I looked at my own work, and I thought, I'm not happy with that. And he said, "Kirk, don't worry about it. It looks fine." And anyway, for the rest of the day, that's all I did was texture. And for the next 3 months, that's all I did was texture. He said, "We're going to make you as good, if not better, than all the guys on the crew." Good buddy of mine, old Fred. If you're out there watching, Fred, what up? Anyway, so here we have the base coat. You got to have a base coat when you do a color coat, otherwise the texture won't work. Now, because this is still moist here, my next texture, or my texture now, is going to adhere by suction. And that's another topic within itself of when to apply it. Okay, I'm going to come over here right by you, Jay, and I'm going to put this surfboard away. I'm going to hand me a little bit of mud. All right, Jay's going to hand me a wee bit of mud. All right. Now, as a rule, guys, I have my way of texturing, and other folks have their way of texturing. My way generally is I'll take my my trowel and I'll look at what they got. I can see they got a Spanish lace. So Spanish lace, you want to just a light hand, guys, a light hand. And it's okay to have straight lines, because see this fella, he got a lot of straight lines. What does that mean? That means he took it off and just pulled it up. That gives those straight lines. But also, the way this fella differs from me is, normally I would take the mud off here and slam it right here and go this way. However, This guy didn't do any of it that way. He pulled it straight up, so the trowel I generally use wouldn't work here anyhow. So now this, we've got a little hump, but it's not noticeable with the camera. Here's what I'll do, because we want to feather into this light skip trowel. I have to go vertically, and I have to actually go over the existing wall. If I don't go over the existing wall, then, see that? I got that habit. Don't do that. Got a habit of wanting to go sideways. That's all right. Stop it, Kirk. All right. We got to match this fella's work. All right, that's done. And guys, regardless if you take it from the top or the bottom, say like me, I'm used to taking mud, and I'll take 30 pounds and I'll let it drop on my trowel. For me, that's easy because the hawk is holding the weight. I drop it on here and I put it on. A lot of guys will pull it off and take 10 times to put it on. That's up to you as an individual. Me, if I pull it off the top, like this, I pull the mud off the top, I got the same finish, but I like to pull it off the bottom. Okay, so now we're doing the bottom here. Now generally what I'll do is take it, I can go vertically now because that's what this guy has done. His is very close to my own texture, but it's just a little off. Nothing to sweat. All right, and now notice too, another thing that's going on that I'm not explaining is, as I'm talking, this is allowing to suck up and dry. What happens if I immediately start to knock this down? I'll get a different texture than theirs. Now, again, I notice all my own textures or anybody else's textures because that's what I do for a living. But my job here is to make it look much better than what they did. And when this is painted, say you're sitting in a hot tub, the fellas don't go, "Hey man, I see somebody did some nasty patchwork on your house." So we don't want that happening. Anyway, I'm getting ready to knock this down, although I wet the wall in order to remove any dust, plus I had to wet it in order for this new stucco to adhere to the existing. Moisture and adhering like the mechanical bond, that's pretty important, but that's another story. All right, so now that we've got it like that, I'd say 5 minutes I could knock down this texture, but I'm going to do it right now anyway with a light hand. So again, this fella, everything he did is he took it straight up vertically. He didn't go horizontal anywhere that I can see. So I'm going to do the same. We're going to go up and come down. And here we're going to, a light hand, guys, a light hand. And the reason I said earlier is that we are using a Santa Barbara texture because the sand in Santa Barbara, the aggregate sand, same thing, just a fancy word, is like talcum powder. It's called technically 30-30, and that's the sand. So this is 20-30, which is a little bit heavier. So if I was to try to use 20-30, could I do it? I could come close, but I want to get the material that gives me as exact a finish as I can. Anyway, there you have it, guys. My name is Kirk. Jason on the camera. We thank you folks for watching, and as usual, we'll see you guys on the next one.
By the way, folks, my dad and I are now members of Amazon affiliates, so if you're looking to buy any of the plastering or construction tools you've seen in our videos and you want to support us in the process, you can check the links below our video, or you can go to our website and get them there. If you have any other questions for tools we don't have linked, email us direct and we'll respond to you then.
Once again, folks, we thank you for watching, and I really enjoy all your comments.
If you guys like this video, please click the like button down below, and also if you enjoy what we do, subscribe to our channel so we can keep making these videos for you.
My name is Kirk.
And Jay.
We thank you for watching, and from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one.